Greetings, programs. My name is Wretch, and I'd like to welcome you to Adventures in the Magic Kingdom. Now, I've felt pretty nostalgic lately, and when I think about the nostalgia of growing up in the 80s and 90s, one of the cornerstones for my entertainment growing up in Southeast New Mexico was the Disney Channel. We were really lucky to have it, and I remember watching all of the shows and movies on there. And I was also really fortunate enough to actually go to Disneyland when I was a kid in the early 90s. I think I was like 9 or 10. And I also remember this game being available to rent at our local video store. I remember renting it like once or twice. And this game is actually pretty ambitious for the time. This was done by Capcom, and while it is a short game, the fact that it has like different game modes and all the different places that you go, I thought was really unique. So, let us go ahead and get started here. And I'm going to spare you all from actually trying to do any voices during this, because I cannot do a Mickey Mouse voice anymore. I used to when I was younger and my voice was higher. Alright, Goofy. So we got Mickey, Goofy, and Donald here. Goofy and Donald taking a break from their time at Kingdom Hearts, helping Sora out. So the whole premise is they need to start a parade at Disneyland. Goofy is going to Goofy, and he actually misplaced 6 silver keys that are needed to unlock the castle in the middle of Disneyland. And I guess we are some random child that has been recruited by Mickey to go find them all. That's it, pretty much. Then he looks straight at us, sets us on our quest. And there's 5 attractions that we can actually visit to get these keys, and then another one we can actually get here on the ground. So here we are at the beginning of Disneyland. We're going down Main Street, USA. You can actually see all the different things that they have available. You can't actually go into any of these right now, though. I'm actually a pretty big fan of like Disney theme parks. I've been to Disney World quite a few times. I try and go about every 2 years. And your character runs into these kids on the grounds, and they have to ask you Disney trivia questions, and if you answer enough of them, you get the first key. So who's the most clever and responsible of the 7 dwarfs? That's kind of open to interpretation, but we're going to go with Doc. And now we have to go to Space Mountain. So I'll take you on a quick tour right here. So we have the castle here in the middle. I'm not exactly sure whose castle it is. I think every Disney castle belongs to a different princess. So I think there's Sleeping Beauty Castle and Cinderella Castle. So we've got Pirates of the Caribbean right here, which is my personal favorite. We've got the Haunted Mansion. We got Big Thunder Mountain. You can't actually ride this, but we've got Tom Sawyer Island along with the Mark Twain Riverboat, which sadly I believe is not at Disneyland anymore. They actually started tearing all of that down. We've got It's a Small World, which, thank God, we don't actually have to have as a level, because I don't think I could deal with that music even in 8-bit form. We've got Autotopia here in Tomorrowland, and we've got Space Mountain. And we got Lucy from Charlie Brown, apparently. What Disney character has appeared in the most films? Oh god, I would say maybe Donald? I don't know all these off the top of my head. Ooh. Lucky guess. He was in quite a few of them, but I also think about all of those films Goofy was in, like teaching about driver safety. All the tutorial cartoons. So what character is known as Musse Pig in Sweden? I think it's Mickey. Yeah. I think I learned that from a Defunctland episode. Yeah, so like in the early 90s, we went on a trip to California, and not only did I go to Disneyland, I also went to Universal Studios Hollywood. And the crazy thing about that is, oh, I love this quote right here about Mickey will be angry if it falls into the wrong hands, and my mind flashes to that South Park episode. If you know, you know. But I really remember more from the Universal Studios trip than the trip to Disneyland. Which of the major Disney cartoon stars first appeared in a color cartoon? I would say that's probably Donald? Donald had a lot of firsts. He was my favorite growing up. And, like, when I think of the trip, in regards to, like, Universal, I remember a lot of stuff on the tram ride. I remember Jaws and the Psycho House and Battlestar Galactica. And I also remember the stunt shows like Conan and Star Trek. There's a lot of stuff I remember very fondly from that trip. Donald Duck's girlfriend, that's easy, it's Daisy. But when I think of Disneyland, I remember playing around in Castle Rock on Tom Sawyer's Island, the Swiss Family Robinson house, and playing in that, which is a bit crazy because on a Florida trip a year or two ago, me and my friend Dave actually went through Florida's version of the Swiss Family Robinson house, and that's where I realized that I am not a young man anymore. I was just like, so many stairs. Oh god, how many Mickey Mouse cartoons are there? 119? Woo. Hey, Pluto. I'm lucky guessing on quite a few of these. And I believe this is the last gatekeeper. I also remember having an autograph book, and I was getting autographs from, like, characters at both Universal and Disney. And I got an autograph by my favorite character at the time, which was Kid Cloudkicker from Tailspin, because they were doing the Disney Afternoon Live, so Disney Afternoon had its own, like, land with Darkwing Duck and DuckTales, Tailspin, and Chippendale's Rescue Rangers. And what is the name of Zorro's Black Stallion? That would be Tornado, and I know that because of the Antonio Banderas film, The Mask of Zorro. So, there is our first silver key. We need 5 more to go. So, I am going to head to where I would normally go if I was at Disneyland as my first location. We're going to Pirates of the Caribbean. Love Pirates of the Caribbean. Pirates have ransacked the island and are holding 6 villagers captive. So, we've already gone to full, like, Michael Crichton, Westworld, Jurassic Park vibe. And we need to light a signal fire. Now listen to that Mega Man style music. You can tell that's a Capcom game. So we've got these guys that look like Popeye and Mr. Smee had a kid. And we have 3 health. And we have no way of hurting the pirates right now, but we are going to be hunting for these stars. These stars work as currency, and we can actually spend them to get life up, to freeze enemies, to become invincible, and to get 1-ups. So let's go ahead and grab all the things. The music's also vaguely like Star Tropics, which makes sense being Pirates of the Caribbean. I do remember riding Pirates of the Caribbean during my trip to Disneyland when I was a kid. And I have ridden the one in Florida, and it does not compare. That was our first villager that we rescued. Now we got to avoid some cannon fire. Because I think the Pirates of the Caribbean in California is like twice the size of the one in Florida. And I know they've added a lot of stuff from the movies, but like even that stuff, there's more of it in the California location. I figure one of these days I'll try and get back to Disneyland. But I've been to Florida so many times for like charity trips for Extra Life and just going on vacations. I just am a big fan. Now with all of this treasure hiding underneath the town, you can see why the pirates decided to raid it. So this candle that we just grabbed, that's our weapon. For some reason, we've got an unlimited amount of them, and they inflict enough pain to kill pirates. Or at least knock them out. So we'll run through here, and now we're basically just farming for stars. There's our 6th maiden. We drop down. And the beacons are lit. Gondor calls for aid. And now we have a villager who looks very much like Dr. Light, giving us a silver key for gratitude. Yeah, we'll work our way up here to the Haunted Mansion. So there actually is a way you can cheese off. There is a boss at the end of this level, and if you're lucky, you can actually inflict a lot of damage on him right off the bat. So this floating specter here is the boss at the end. Ah! Well, there went that. If you keep up with him, you can just keep on inflicting damage to him until you get to the entrance to the mansion. Now, unlike Pirates of the Caribbean, the candles are a limited resource, so you need to make sure that you keep them. Now we got falling chandeliers and definitely a Castlevania vibe. Or more like Transylvania, if you were playing DuckTales. I didn't ride the Haunted Mansion when I was a kid, but I did ride it like a few years ago, and unfortunately, I think they've added so much stuff to that ride to like keep it like fresh that all the dialogue like overlaps over each other, so it's more just like this cacophony of noise, so you can't really focus on one thing or another. I would have loved to have seen the original. And we've got the dancing ghosts here, which are very iconic. So much so, they made them as a boss in Super Castlevania 4 for the SNES. We'll leave Gomez and Morticia to themselves. Now we got a little bit of platforming here. Nothing too bad. I may mess up here in a bit, but if you die, you have to start all over from the beginning. See, I almost messed up right there. Take the elevator chair. Now, we've got books here that are gonna, like, come straight for you the second that you're in the line of sight. Or line of fire, rather. So you just have to... See? Not a whole lot that we could do there. But not a big deal. Now we actually have a second crack at that boss. I like the music, too. There we go. I always try to jump this guy for whatever reason. Alright, we are out of ammo. But hopefully that'll make life a little bit easier for us as we move on. One of these days I'm going to have to try and track down that autograph book and see if I can find who else signed it. I think the only person I can remember off the top of my head who signed it besides Kid Cloudkicker was Woody Woodpecker over at Universal. I was actually not wanting his autograph. I was just trying to kind of... I don't know if I was embarrassed or... I wasn't scared, but I was just like, I don't want to talk to him, and we were trying to... I was hiding behind my mom as we walked by, and then behind us we heard a stomp, 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 and Woody Woodpecker had noticed my reluctance to have my photo taken with him, and he made it known that he was not appreciative. I'd like to find those photos, too. Alright, I'm just gonna very quickly move through here. Oop. If you hit the edges of those, you actually take damage, so that's why I'm being a little bit careful here. Alright, I'm going to go ahead and stay crouched, and I'm just basically going to ignore all of the ammo. Yeah, that's... And now we jump. That's the gauntlet. Like, if you can get past that, now we just have the boss to deal with. Hey, friends. So you got plenty of ammo. He's gonna come in like this, and he's just gonna try and overcrowd you and do that. So now we've got to life up, and I'm gonna go ahead and go invincible here. And that's what you use the stars for. Alright, Goofy has handed us a silver key. How he got it, we don't know. And I hope you liked platforming, because that's the only platforming levels in the entire game. All the other levels are like different genres, which are actually quite cool. So now we'll head into Big Thunder. And we are going Temple of Doom here. So there's 4 stations at the bottom, and now we've got to ride trains and hope that we reach the right one. And there's rocks and obstacles and all kinds of stuff here. And from my experience, I'm actually used to... Uh-oh. And unfortunately, you cannot pause the game. So you can't give yourself more... That was close. I'm gonna have to learn this, because most of the times when I played this game, it has always been... Oh! Yeah, hit a rock. And I'll tell you what, let's go ahead and use the rest of our... Since we don't have to worry about freezing or invincibility or anything. I actually find this one to be one of the hardest ones. Now, the good news is you don't really have to worry about where you're going, as long as you don't obviously run into any, like, roadblocks or giant rocks and die, until you get to that area where you saw all the pigs. And then you've got to focus on what you're doing. Ow. Alright, now we are on the far side, which is not ideal for us, for what we're wanting to do here. Oh, right on the edge there. I've never actually played one where I've had to be at Station 2. It's always been 3 or 4. And if you run out of lives, you gotta start all over again from the very start, so... Let's hope that that is not what we have to deal with. Okay, we're minding the rocks. And we also are getting stars. So at least there's that. That's some Oregon Trail music, isn't it? Alright. I think I went to 1, didn't I? I did. Wait, no I didn't. Ah! Hey! Cool. I forgot that there was a little bit more. Thank you, Cowboy Goofy. Ooh, that's a lot of stars. We get to avoid Small World, thank God. And now we go into Autotopia. Which my first thought when I looked at it is like, oh, it's Test Track, but I believe Test Track is at Epcot. Now, Mickey, when he says this, it's like we're in a race against Pete. We're not. We're basically in a time trial against Pete. Because you would think that we have to beat all of those cars. We don't. We basically just have to survive. And the fact that I was not moving there does not give me a lot of hope that we're going to complete this in one run. But as you can see, very Demolition Derby-ish. All these cars are designed to do is to stop your progress. Like so. So you just gotta try and compensate as best you can. And we'll see. And there is one particular area here where you do have to hit the brakes. Otherwise, if you fall into the water, you're dead. You're done. Yeah, right there. Oh. And you'll start hearing, yeah, this... Let's hope we can do it. You jump. Oh, got it in one. Stellar. So as you can tell, not a race at all, but that's okay. So we have 5 keys, and the fact that Mickey's just telling you to fight is funny to me. And now it's time for Space Mountain, and this was actually cool. This was my, other than Pirates of the Caribbean, this was my favorite of these games when playing this, because it's QuickTime events, which is something you normally didn't see in a Nintendo game back in the day. I've actually never ridden Space Mountain. I didn't have time the last time I was at Disneyland in Orlando, but I did ride the Tron coaster, which was incredible. So we're going to be flying into different zones and just trying to survive, and you'll see. So at the bottom of the screen, it'll give you commands, and you just basically have to follow those as best you can. There's also going to be asteroids that are blue and orange, and completely, legally distinct, not Star Destroyers. Because I guess they put them in there as like an homage to Star Tours. But I know that a lot of the Space Mountain stuff had become Hyperspace Mountain. And I guess that's one of the reasons I didn't really care to ride it, because I love me some Star Wars. If you followed the channel for any amount of time, love Star Wars. But I like Star Wars in appropriate areas. Like, there's Galaxy's Edge, and that's great, but just having Star Wars everywhere kind of takes away the specialness of it to me. But apparently they are going back to, like, more traditional Space Mountains, especially in Paris, where they're doing, going back to Space Mountain from the Earth to the Moon. Like, very cyberpunk, and when it goes into 2 directions like that, I can go either way. So that's nice. It'll be a nice change of pace. Like, what's old is new again. I'd love to go to that, because the Tomorrowland is actually all steampunky. Because there's that whole, the Tomorrowland problem that they have. Oops. I was not paying attention. That the future's always coming, so anything that they imagine will eventually be rendered obsolete. So if you do like a steampunk, like here's what people thought the future was going to be, I think that's a much cooler concept. And I think we're almost done here. We're on E, right? Yeah. Yeah! Alright. There is our 6 keys. The Disney park I really want to go to, though, is Tokyo Disneyland, because a lot of people consider that to be the best Disney park. It's actually not ran by Disney, it's ran by the Oriental Land Company, and Disney Sea is also, like, it's got a lot of cool stuff, including, like, a volcano that has Captain Nemo's lair and a 20,000 League Under the Sea ride. I like it when it's its own stuff and not necessarily, like, an IP. But with those 6 keys, let's head to the castle. And now that we've beaten all 6 of these, it's time for our fight with Dr. Wily. None of that's true, actually. This is the end of the game. There's no final stage. Now it's time for a parade. we'll get 50% off our next Disneyland ticket for all the work that we've done. So the game was basically designed to be beatable, you know, by fans of Disney, but it does have a little degree of difficulty to it. And there's the end. Like, no, we don't actually even get to see the parade like Super Mario RPG style. But it's a cool little game because it has all those different levels and different types of gameplay in it. And it's got all the Disney vibes to it, which I appreciate. But as I said, I was feeling nostalgic, and I hope y'all may be a little bit nostalgic after having watched this. I appreciate y'all tuning in. But if you liked the video, please leave a like down below. Subscribe to the channel, leave a comment, that'd be a big help. And we will see you next time. Later days, everyone.